What the heck is Othoroda doing? Dory and Byarugi had to use their full minus power Conqueror's Haki, just to help Dory break free from being possessed by the secret technique, Dom My Reversal. But Chopper, with just one slap that wasn't even painful, and without using Haki, did it quite easily. What is going on with this battle? Hold on, I'll explain it right away with Chopper's true power. Welcome back to the X10 MANHWA FRESH. In the previous video, I shared with you the reason why you had to order Doflamingo to execute Gecko Moria, right? The Cage no Mi Shadow minus Shadow fruit that Moria possesses is precisely the thing that could cause IMU trouble with the demon army he creates. Moria has the ability to control the very shadows that IMU uses to increase his power and transform others into demons. Compared to IMU, Moria is the true ruler of shadows, so IMU would never be able to control the demon shadows he creates in Moria's presence. Moria is like a hard counter to IMU, rendering him powerless in using his demon army for combat. Furthermore, there's another detail that causes IMU trouble: the weakness of these shadows. When exposed to salt, they return to their original owners, after being separated by the Cage no Mi. This suggests that the demon shadows IMU creates with Dom My Reversal can also likely be countered by salt. It's crazy to think the Straw Hat Pirates once did that to fight against Gecko Moria on Thriller Bark. So, it's natural that this method would also be effective against IMU's ability. But the more important thing I want to share in this video is Chopper's Devil Fruit power. One of his hands and Monster Point Form push the demon shadow right out. That's not some comedic detail. Roger and Garp are masters of Conqueror's Haki, but they still struggled immensely to fight against the demonized rocks. Yet Chopper handled it with relative ease. Even he was stunned that he managed to save the giant from possession. And for anything bizarre that appears in this world, the first thing to consider is that it's caused by a devil fruit. What mystery lies within Chopper's power? Let's analyze it together in this video, everyone. The first thing we need to mention here is the moment Chopper consumed the Hito Hito no Mi. Was it a coincidence, or did this devil fruit choose its owner? As has been mentioned before, Chopper was born a reindeer with an unusual characteristic compared to his herd. His nose is blue. Because of this difference, Chopper was often ostracized by the herd. When he accidentally ate the Hito Hito no Mi while starving, he gained the ability to transform, and the herd saw him as a monster, officially kicking him out without a second thought, meaning he was abandoned forever. Chopper then used his human point form to transform into a person, a real human. Thanks to his ability to speak, he approached humans. However, his blue nose and fur didn't change. Once again, Chopper was chased away by humans, and they even raised guns to hunt him. Chopper's heart was severely wounded from that moment on. No one in this world accepted this creature that was neither a reindeer nor a human. This is a sickness for which there is almost no cure, because it's a sickness of the heart. It made him extremely afraid to face others in his peculiar forms. The detail of Chopper's blue nose is quite similar to Loki's dragon eyes. Everything was considered abnormal, to the point of being a cursed thing to exist on one's body. Loki was also mercilessly killed by his own mother right after birth by being thrown into a well. Although he survived and grew up, Loki was not considered the son of the mother who bore him, and even the people of LBF began to discriminate against the prince's demonic dragon eyes. The Zio and Hito Hito no Mi helped Chopper develop his intellect perfectly. He was helped by Drive, Hir Ilyokai, who guided him in medicine to treat others. With the intelligence granted by the Hito Hito no Mi, Chopper quickly reached an advanced level that few in this world could match. His dream is to become a doctor who can cure any disease. And what we need to pay attention to here is the data from the Blackbird Pirates. They once spent time on Drum Island, where Chopper lived, searching for something. It was no coincidence that the Blackbird Pirates attacked Drum and then left without gaining any benefit. Normally, they only hunt for powerful devil fruits for their crew members. So, it's highly likely that there was information about an extremely powerful devil fruit, or one that would be useful to them, appearing there. According to the theory I've proposed, they were actually looking for the Hito Hito no Mi that Chopper accidentally ate, because this is a necessary fruit to increase the intelligence of any member of his crew, or to cure a certain illness. However, Oda confirmed that if it wasn't the reindeer Chopper who ate it, but a human, then this person would achieve an enlightened level of wisdom, though the extent was not specified. In short, it increases a human's IQ, making the user wiser. Even so, there are still very suspicious points about this Hito Hito no Mi. Assuming it's for becoming smarter, it should be a Param IA- type, not a ZON. The purpose of a ZON fruit is to help the user increase their physical strength and control elemental abilities, like mythical Zeons for combat. They can switch between three forms: user, hybrid, and beast. When Chopper lost control and used a rumble ball, he transformed into a giant with horns on his head. Recently, the story introduced the mythical Zeo and Hog fruit from Norse mythology for Loki and the Hammer Ragnar. Let's not forget that Yggdrasil also has images of four deer representing the four seasons of the world. And it's possible that the author didn't create four at once, but will use another mythical Zeo and ability, something related to the deer species or a horned creature, like a mythical Minos type. And here, Chopper should be what we think of most, as in his monster point, he transforms into a giant creature with the large horns of a moose on his head. And of course, Chopper is a reindeer, so it's understandable that they are reindeer antlers. This data point suggests that Chopper's Hito Hito no Mi is actually a god in a deer Minos-like form, with its enlightened wisdom and miraculous healing ability from curses. Kind of like an exorcist, expelling demons possessing others, removing the effects of being controlled if used correctly. For example, by slapping out the entire demon shadow that was controlling the giant's body in the recent chapter 1177. In chapter 1138, the painting on the Adam tree in the Holy Scripture mentions the following: "In the void there is breath. The forest god subjugate as demons. The sun god ends the flames of war." So, who is the forest god who subjugate as demons referring to? Sky by also had for gods appear. The forest god was also mentioned with great reverence. Many of you are thinking that Admiral Green Bull with his Mori no Mi that controls plants is the forest god. But it seems the four gods they refer to allude to four mythical Zeo and evil fruits. The sun god is Luffy's Hito Hito no Mi, and the forest god seems quite fitting for what Chopper just demonstrated with the Hito Hito no Mi he has. An ability to subjugate demons by touching them, knocking the demon shadows out of the possessed body like an exorcism, making Chopper seem like a shaman. And if you've ever watched the classic anime Princess Mononoke, you'll recognize it. In that movie, there is a forest spirit in the form of a deer. This forest spirit has the ability to heal physical wounds and lift curses. Chopper is being developed in a similar direction. Chopper's dream is to cure all kinds of diseases. For illnesses caused by viruses, medicine can be developed to create antibodies. Take the medicine, and the body will gradually recover. However, for mental illnesses or this type of demonic possession, it's almost impossible to cure without sufficient power. Look at how Zoro's group fought to defeat a demon giant. It took a lot of energy, didn't it? Dory even got stabbed in the hand. That's proof of the demon's resistance against those who oppose it. If it wasn't Dory but someone weaker, they would have been killed by that stab. So the way to break the demon's curse by shutting it down with a fatal blow is very tense and costly. What if, after just saving them, the two demons pass by and they turn into demons once again? That loop would be endless. The more you fight, the more exhausted you become, until you are eventually defeated by the demons with their infinite regeneration. With Chopper, it's clear that when he slapped the demon, it looked down on the kid, laughed condescending, and called Chopper pathetically weak. With that much disdain, how could it be defeated? This slap is similar to when Shanks left a scar on the Plague Doctor's mask, making him cough up blood immediately. And yet, surprisingly, a mere slap was enough to turn the tables against that demon. As of now, I believe the monster point from his Chopper's awakened form. When the kid overuses this power, he transforms into a helpless form called Baby Geezer. It's extremely similar to Luffy's exhausted form after he runs out of energy. ED-ages, unlike Luffy who becomes a helpless old man slumped on the ground. If Luffy has a mythical Zeo and Hito Hito no Mi, why not consider that Chopper also has a mythical Zeo and Hito Hito no Mi, right? Furthermore, chapter 143 revealed that on Drum Island, there exists a type of mushroom that can cure all diseases. And Chopper misunderstood that the Amayudaic mushroom was that type. But it was recorded in a book with a skull and crossbones symbol. Who would have thought this symbol meant it was a poisonous mushroom that shouldn't be eaten? Now we have a very interesting connection to the Blackbird Pirates. They landed on the Drum Kingdom. He was looking for some kind of cure, possibly for Daku, whose health is extremely poor. In reality, that mushroom was the Hito Hito no Mi that Chopper accidentally ate. Its shape is exactly like a mushroom, isn't it? To summarize, we can believe that Chopper has a mythical Zeo and Hito Hito no Mi, known as the Forest God, with the ability to exorcise like a shaman. And Chopper can break the link with demons just by touching the possessed person. So when he slapped the demon giant, he freed him from the Dawn My Reversal curse. And that's all the data I wanted to provide you about Chopper's Hito Hito no Mi ability. I hope you like it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell to receive notifications for future videos. Loki can only transform into the dragon and Hog and LBF, and cannot transform outside of LBF. Is this prediction heading in the right direction, on the right track for a mythical devil fruit from LBF? In Chapter 1175, we saw the incredibly impressive debut of the dragon Hito, a mythical creature recorded in Norse mythology. And then, the author skillfully turned Hito into one of the most overpowered devil fruits in One Piece, as it has a very unique effect of scaling with the user's size. The ancient giant race is the largest in the world. Loki is a descendant of this race, so when he was chosen by Ragnar to inherit it, he transformed into an incredibly enormous dragon. It has to be said, the largest of all creatures existing in One Piece. A devil fruit is only truly strong when the user can optimally utilize its characteristics. For example, Sugar's devil fruit, if the user wasn't a child. But Garp in his prime, the story would have been different. He would have forever been the strongest marine in history, and it seems no one could defeat this legendary hero of all eras. Therefore, Loki is the optimal choice for the potential of the mythical Zeo and Hito fruit. Besides his enormous size, Loki also has Conqueror's Haki, one of the most terrifying destructive powers in the series. And so far, his Haki has not been fully displayed. This is its greatest appeal. Did Loki, 14 years ago, kill King Harald with the Hito fruit absorbed into his body? Or was the thing that killed the King Loki's super Midas powerful Conqueror's Haki? To date, Loki has only transformed into his hybrid form once during the battle at Aur's castle. The god knight Heron was eliminated even though IMU confirmed that he was the strongest knight of all time that he could bond with. Does Loki's transformation ability truly only exist on LBF, as mentioned at the beginning of this video, or is it the opposite? The ability to transform in One Piece is seen with the Logia type, which helps the user convert into a form of energy, corresponding to their element but in the shape of a related entity. For example, an L can transform into the thunder god, Rei-Jin. Oraka and transforms into a magma hound, fitting his nickname, during his attack on the Emperor Whitebeard. However, the true transformation ability of a devil fruit comes from the Zeo type. This type allows the user to switch between at least 3 forms, including their original form, a hybrid form, and a beast form. For those who have awakened their fruit, they can also transform into an awakened form, with the sash of smoke around their neck. Their physical stats are increased to a much greater extent than before. Those seen to have it include Rabuchi with his Leopard Zeo, or Kaku with his Giraffe Zeo. However, some mythical Zeo fruits have even more than those for transformations. For example, Luffy can use Gear 2, Gear 3, which includes 3 forms and especially the Awakened Gear 5. Thanks to the intervention of drugs, Chopper can transform into even more forms than Luffy. So, the big question is, how many forms can Loki's mythical Zeo and Hito transform into? Of course, in his ancient giant form, there's not much to say about it. Anyone who eats a Zeo fruit has it, so it's quite normal and not worth worrying about. Recently, Loki transformed into his full beast form, taking the shape of the dragon Hito. His size is so massive that when he spreads his wings, he can cover the vast sky, causing everything beneath him to be completely plunged into darkness. In this form, Loki can breathe lightning. The destructive power of this lightning can wipe out the entire army of dream demons that Killing Hand created. Flesh and blood scattered everywhere, an extremely horrifying sight. It means every time Loki breathes lightning, the target is destroyed by the force of the electricity, exploding into a gruesome mess. The scale of each attack is incredibly terrifying. Look at how those giant dream demons fled. They scattered in fear. But even though they tried their best, the outcome was predetermined. You might not have noticed this detail. Loki's attacks are all named after entire worlds. First is the Niflheim attack from his hammer Ragnar. Niflheim means the world of mist or the realm of ice. That attack caused a vast area in front of him to freeze instantly. The giant dream demon Dora was completely unable to escape, turning into a cold ice statue. The second attack, as mentioned, is Thorheim, meaning the realm of thunder. Again, a vast area was affected by the lightning. These 2 wide-area destructive attacks show the catastrophic level of destruction of the Hito dragon, which the world government has also expressed deep concern about. Even though they have a giant weapon of mass destruction flying in the sky, they don't have to refuel it with a mother flame, and moving that weapon also takes quite a bit of time. As for the Hito dragon, it doesn't need any fuel. Loki can move anywhere, then transform into a giant dragon and breathe lightning, and it's done. It seems this is the weapon that Shiki also mentioned during the Ed War. He demanded that Roger reveal the location of an ancient weapon that he possessed after reaching Laugh Tale. However, Roger just laughed and could do nothing. It seems Roger only knew that Elba F had it, but didn't know how to use it. which forced Gaban to go to LBF to lie low and guard it for 20 years to find clues. To put it bluntly, it's nothing less than an ancient weapon, the last one known as Uranus. The author hasn't confirmed it, but this similarity makes the hypothesis highly plausible. Uranus only appears when Loki is the one who possesses the NID Hog Devil Fruit, a creature that rules the sky, which even IMU must fear greatly. Seeing NID Hog destroy his knights and subordinates, IMU became furious to the extreme. A thing that he never expected had been hiding on Elba F for hundreds, or even thousands of years. So, Loki's human form and NID Hog dragon form have been clearly seen. The only remaining mystery is Loki's hybrid form. What kind of powerful impression will it leave? In chapter 1170, Loki's hybrid form was seen as a faint shadow on the wall. One of his hands grabbed the head of the god knight Aaron. With sharp claws, his neck and mouth elongated instead of having a normal human physique, along with 2 horns on top of his head. Loki's back was hidden, but I'm sure it has wings so he can fly instead of just walking on the ground. His lower body was also hidden, and it seems the tail in his hybrid form also appears everywhere. Looking at the overall picture, we see a few differences compared to Kaido's hybrid form. Let's observe again. The Uonomi fish minus fish fruit helps Kaito transform into a hybrid form of an azure dragon. The scales on his body are quite visible on his arms, back, and even his face. On his face, you can also see the scales that formed there. In addition, the scales extend to Kato's extremely long, slithering tail. This seems to be the biggest difference with the NID Hog Dragon, which has no scales. Its tail will also be shorter than Kato's, it has one. And Kato's horns will surely have more branches than Loki's. That's about the appearance. Let's move on to the special powers of Loki's dragon. NID Hog is fundamentally a thunder dragon, so Loki's attacks in his hybrid form will carry the ability to summon lightning to strike the target. Loki's human form wants some unlightning to strike Haur's castle, tearing King Harald's body into many small pieces. It would be boring if Loki only had that much power, right? The fighting techniques of any fruit user can change unpredictably based on their original ability. For example, Luffy, who is a rubber man, underwent a major change when he accelerated his blood flow to create the super minus speed gear 2, or blowing air into his rubber bones like a balloon, then coating it with hockey to enhance the durability of that punch, driving it into the opponent. Transformation is always what fans look forward to. Besides Loki's brute minus for his hammer attacks, what kind of terrifying techniques does he possess? Looking back, Kaido developed a technique called Desuron Hakeke, also known as Drunken Dragon Bagua, which helps Kaido enhance his haki for each attack and focus on specialized power. For example, the Roaring Thunder Bagua, or Ragnarok, as it was called before. When upgraded to Warei Ijogo Ragnarok, the damage level is much higher. With one blow, Kaido shattered the skull dome on Iga Shima. Kaido then switched to the Ojiko Ijogo technique, transforming into a dragon with a devastating full minus room attack. He launched a series of air blades with incredible sharpness, cutting through anything in their path. Kaido's form minus switching is quite fast and flexible to unleash the Drunken Dragon Bagua techniques. I'm sure when you rewatch it, you'll see the appeal in his move minus set construction. The thing is, to use the Drunken Dragon Bagua, Kaido has to drink a lot to enter a drunken state and then use these techniques to fight. The effect only lasts for 5 minutes. It's like Drunken Fist. You need alcohol to sway like a shadow. If you try to sway without alcohol, you'll just get punched silly. As for Loki, his group seems to have been carefully prepared for his power, beyond just the NID Hog Dragon Devil Fruit. With the ability to breathe lightning, Loki should also show off a very specialized set of combat skills. Similar to NL, anyone who touches him gets electrocuted until they're charred black. Loki should also be able to store electricity within his body, ready to turn anyone nearby into a black minus charred Superman. And his body should also emit an aura around him, right? I think that's unreasonable because most Devil Fruit abilities are activated from the user, not limited by geographical location. IMU knew about the NID Hog Dragon before. He also knows all the information about Devil Fruits in the encyclopedia. Or even beyond that, because NID Hog appeared in the ancient era before disappearing completely. IMU had no idea where NID Hog was, until Loki transformed on LBF, which left him stunned and speechless. This proves that it can't only transform on LBF or only appear there. Because if it could, IMU would have already sent troops to scour the island for this fruit, instead of trying to manipulate the giant army. It's been confirmed that Loki alone is on par with the entire strength of the LBF warriors. If IMU had known that this devil fruit only reincarnates on LBF, or that it could only transform on LBF, he wouldn't have had to waste time, effort, and plans to turn LBF into his private army, right? And what do you guys think about this explanation? Please share your personal opinions in the comments. They say that one of Loki's lightning attacks can destroy an entire island. That is power equivalent to an ancient weapon. Lightning has already shown its terrifying destruction through his attacks. This question is indeed very interesting. Ragnar is said to be a divine weapon with elemental power. In the past, it fought alongside the god of war of Elba F against the sun god. And later, the soul of a warrior entered Ragnar to create a divine weapon to protect the mythical devil fruit of Elba F. It has always followed Loki for the past 14 years until now. Ever since Loki was chained in the underworld, it has been there. Yet when Simrock arrived with Hito Hito, they tortured the prince extremely brutally, chaining him and fatally wounding him with a Sephiroth -1 point strike. And yet Ragnar did not appear to protect the prince, as it did in Aura's castle 14 years ago. Instead of protecting its master, Ragnar chose to remain silent. I'm sure many of you have the same question, but looking back at chapter 1130, the first official image of Loki appeared before the fans' eyes. Ragnar was also seen hanging on his back. You probably remember what the chains used to bind Loki were made of, right? Exactly, sea stone, a rare material crafted to restrain devil fruit users. When touched by sea stone, the devil fruit ability still exists, but the user can no longer use its power. This means the hammer Ragnar would also be affected by sea stone, stuck in its hammer form and unable to transform. Therefore, even if Samrock killed Loki right there, Ragnar would be completely powerless, witnessing its master's death. It could do nothing more in a situation where it was chained by sea stone, neutralizing its transformation ability. According to Elder Zion, Loki's devil fruit is the Ryu no Mi, a type of NID hog dragon that allows the user to transform into the largest dragon in the world. However, the size of this dragon depends on the size of the person who eats the fruit. So if a normal person eats it, they will turn into an unremarkable dragon. But a member of the giant race will become a much larger dragon, and an ancient giant will be the most colossal in the world. When eaten, it turns you into a black dragon with the power of lightning. The growth dependent on its size is so immense that it can turn day into night, meaning it can cover the entire sky of a vast area every time it spreads its wings. In summary, eating the NID hog dragon Zio and fruit will turn you into a thunder dragon whose size depends on the user, making him many times larger than his original form. The big question is, does this size minus magnifying effect apply to all other Zio and Evil fruits? If so, then it's clearly not special anymore. Let's look at Momono Suk, Izu no Mi. It's a failed fruit, but only the color is a failure. Momo ate this fruit as an 8-year-old child. The dragon was seen to be quite small, cute, and adorable, only slightly larger than Luffy. When he was aged up 20 years by Shinobu's devil fruit, the effect was immediate, turning him into a massive dragon just like Kaido. Many people say Momo's dragon is a bit smaller than Kaido's dragon. That's a reasonable assumption. But it's not by much, because Kaido is much more mature than Momo anyway, 59 years old versus 28 years old. Notably, Kaido has the body of a hybrid giant, standing at 710 cm tall. He is much larger than Momono Suke, who is only 320 cm, meaning he's more than twice as tall. According to Elder Zion's explanation, assuming Kaido and Momo both ate the NID hog dragon fruit, Kaido would be twice as large as Momo. But the Azure Dragon Zioan is not like that, as we've seen. This means that only the mythical Zioan that Loki ate has the ability to grow according to the owner's size. Not just any fruit has such a power. It's like a unique side effect. For example, when you eat Kuma's Nikyu no Mi, you grow animal pads on your hands. Loki's colossal size is the key point, implying that he compared to an ancient weapon with such immense power that a single attack can destroy an entire island like Pluton, or the thing that exists in the sky that IMU recently used. There's a theory that the weapon IMU used to erase Lulu's IA is an ancient weapon. In the conversation between Sabo Dragon and Ivankov, this was also mentioned. Vegapunk seems to be creating an energy source for an ancient weapon. Specifically in chapter 10 Itixis, Sabo said, it was impossible to identify what appeared in the sky. It was a pitch-black shell capable of firing an energy beam. Ivankov thinks it's an ancient weapon because IMU was a being from the ancient past. Dragon, however, was a bit surprised. He confirmed that ancient weapons exist, according to what Robin has said. But if IMU is one of them, why haven't they used it until now? Why did they only use it on Lulu SIA recently? The truth is, IMU is testing his giant weapon. with a small portion of the mother flame that was secretly stolen and sent to him. To reiterate, Vegapunk only created the mother flame based on the eternal flame he knew existed in the past. Creating it requires a lot of resources for conversion, like a power plant built on Egghead. Hundreds of years ago, the island that God's Valley was on was also destroyed in the same way as Lulu SIA. These are two giant, bottomless holes in the sea, proving that the weapon IMU uses has been fired before, thanks to the eternal flames before they were lost. So, we currently have two fairly credible theories for the identity of the ancient weapon Uranus. One is the colossal black object that appeared in the sky during the destruction of Lulu SIA, as well as God's Valley in the past. However, there are things that raise doubts. The ancient weapon Uranus may not necessarily be a ship created through science. It might also be something inherited through generations, which leans more towards Loki's side. For example, Poseidon, this ancient weapon is reincarnated through generations in a mermaid princess of the Ryugu Kingdom's royal family. Poseidon has the power to control the Sea Kings, which have terrifying strength. They can easily destroy anything with a large minus-scale attack. An island is nothing to them. According to legend, a man will come to guide her. It's also the time when that king and the princess meet, and the world will begin to change. I've made a video clearly analyzing that this person is not Luffy. You guys can rewatch it. This element of inheritance is also shown through the ancient weapon Pluton, via the connection between Mom Ano Sukai and Zun's Ha. Zun's Ha is a giant elephant that has lived for centuries. However, it only obeys the reincarnated Lord when the time comes, and it assists this Lord, who is Mom Ano Sukai. Like Odin, Luffy and Momo can both hear Zun's Ha's voice. However, only Momo can order it to attack Jack the Drow, whose skills were damaging the giant elephant's legs. When Wano was in danger, Zun's Ha also approached the island, talking to Momo about whether to use the ancient weapon Pluton or not. If yes, it would help open Wano's borders, but Momo decided it wasn't the right time. And we don't know what Pluton is, but according to Frankie's story, it is a warship that can easily destroy an entire island with a single shot. Finding Pluton is one thing, but being able to use it is another, because the ancient weapon Pluton remains a huge mystery in terms of its design. How big is this warship? Does the energy it uses need to be supplied like the mother flame for the weapon in the sky? Or does it come from the connection with its controller? Momono SUK? The data indicates that the ancient weapon Uranus also seems to have an inheritance from people born in a fated era. Loki appears to be the one chosen by fate for Elbaf, because the NID Hog Hammer hardly accepts anyone else to take this devil fruit besides Prince Loki. Many years ago, King Harald was asked to use the mythical devil fruit of Elbaf to help him overthrow the government. However, the king couldn't do it because Ragnar was guarding it. It didn't accept the king, even though he was the strongest warrior of LBF at that time. Perhaps Loki's dragon eyes were the factor for Ragnar to acknowledge him. Because Loki was blinded while fighting it, it didn't see and was forced to protect this devil fruit. Only when it clearly saw Oki's special eyes did its admittance willingly open the chest containing the devil fruit and give it to the prince. When Loki consumed this devil fruit, he transformed into a NID Hog dragon of incredibly immense size. This made Ragnar recall the ancient god of war of LBF, with whom it fought against the destructive sun god. One of Loki's attacks caused the giant dream demons to be pulverized, their bones shattered in a terrifying explosion accompanied by Conqueror's Haki. Just think about what would happen if Loki used this attack on a random island on the world map. That island would surely be annihilated instantly, just like the legendary shot of the ancient weapon Pluton. And a giant dragon that rules the sky with the element of lightning is truly a perfect description for an ancient weapon named Uranus. Poseidon rules the seas, Pluton rules the land, and Uranus rules the sky. That is the established theory in the world of One Piece. Everything is starting to connect. The three ancient weapons under the guidance of the sun god Nika will change the era together, creating a world that cannot be divided. Then Labuan will be found, and the whale species can live happily with their migratory habits. The world's greatest feast that Luffy has always craved will be held. However, is Loki with the NID Hog Thunder Dragon ZO and Fruit actual Uranus? We will have to wait for more time and for revelations from Author Oda, everyone.